Coming up on Network Africa, Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu reaffirms the country's commitment to the economic community of West African states at the regional body's 50th anniversary. African literature giant Ngugi wa Thiong'o dies at the age of 87. Plus, South African mother convicted of kidnapping and trafficking her 6-year-old daughter, sentenced to life in prison along with her 2 accomplices. Hello and welcome to the program today. I'm Layo Olarinde. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has reaffirmed the country's commitment to the economic community of West African states, ECOWAS, at the regional body's 50th anniversary. President Tinubu, who was joined by other leaders from the sub-region for the celebration in Lagos, says the vision of ECOWAS represents a part of his renewed hope agenda. He asked the community to cement its commitment to the rule of law and people-centered government that drive development. Our correspondent Amarachi Ubani has this report.
The day begins with a brief ceremony at the NIIA, reenacting the signing of the Treaty of Lagos, which led to the establishment of the ECOWAS in 1975. The Nigerian Institute of International Affairs happens to be the venue of the signing of the treaty 50 years ago. Chairman of the Authority of Heads of States and Government, President Bola Tinubu, appends his signature to the treaty, as well as current presidents and representatives of government present at the ceremony, and top officials of the NIIA. The event is witnessed by the only surviving founding member of the ECOWAS, General Yakubu Gowon, the Nigerian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Tugar, the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Bianca Odumegwu-Ojukwu, and other members of the President's cabinet. The new declaration of the treaty is then read out.
In honor of the dream of our founding fathers, we, the heads of state and government of the member states of the Economic Community of West African States, have signed this declaration, done at Lagos this 28th day of May 2025.
Leaders quickly proceed to the Echo Hotel and Suites for celebration of ECOWAS Jubilee, where a number of side attractions buttress unity and integration within the community, including a 4-minute painting by speed paint artist Seun Adebayo. It is of General Yakubu Gowon. In his address to participants at the occasion, President of the ECOWAS Commission, Omar Toure, appreciated General Gowon for being the only surviving founding member. He praised ECOWAS for achieving regional integration, responding to crisis, and wading through recent geopolitical tension.
We have demonstrated to the world that the African solution actually works. Fired by a strong solidarity among our member states, we are constantly looking out for each other as we solidify our community.
General Gowon reminisces about the factors surrounding the establishment of the ECOWAS, a necessity as many countries in the region emerged from colonial bondage. He appealed that Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger be readmitted should they wish to be reintegrated.
My advice is that, Mr. President, I will ask you to please continue, not to push them away, but continue to draw them, be open, continue to be open-minded and open-handed to them. And I believe sooner or later they will come in a comeback. If they do not come back as individual nations, I hope they can come back as a group, in a group, and you can admit them into ECOWAS, and still, this time, ECOWAS will still stand.
Closing out the ceremony, President Bola Tinubu recognized ECOWAS' tireless work of integration.
let us renew our compact with one another with courage, clarity, respect, and determination. That we will promote trade, we will promote unity, we will conquer all forms of challenges, that is terrorism, banditry, and hatred.
This has been a very special and significant celebration for the Economic Community of West African States, which today has been highlighting its achievements. But as President Bola Tinubu said, it's not about celebrating the past, but embracing the future. He spoke to the youth. That was something we saw a number of times in this hall. People addressing the young people, and then he said he wanted to hand over to them a banner without stain. ECOWAS looks forward to another 50 years with more achievements in tow. From the celebrations here in Lagos, Amarachi Ubani, Channels Television News.
Still on ECOWAS at 50, former Permanent Secretary of Nigeria's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Joe Keshi, says there might not be many things to celebrate. However, the free movement of goods and services across member countries is one worth celebrating.
There might not be too many things to celebrate, but I think that the little that ECOWAS has achieved is worth celebrating, particularly the free movement of goods and services, persons, goods and services. The trade liberalization, and some of the infrastructure, connecting the region, has actually helped, contributed a lot to increase in trade. The recorded trade, between among ECOWAS countries, it's not as high as the informal trade. And that's because, again, over the years, both countries along the sub-region and the authorities have failed to put in place mechanisms that can ensure that they bring an end to smuggling and conduct trade professionally, and business-like. But the truth of the matter is that we can actually cut and paste and see what others are doing, to ensure that we operate based on international best practices. There's been a substantial increase in trade among ECOWAS countries. ECOWAS can work if the authorities, in every country decides that they want to make it work. So we can eliminate all the taxes as it is in the ECOWAS agreement, but the authorities in each region, in each state, has to ensure that they obey the community rules.
Well, speaking on our breakfast program, The Morning Brief, Ambassador Keshi, who is also the president of Association of Retired Career Ambassadors of Nigeria, ARCAN, believes that the Sahel nations of Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso, who have withdrawn from the ECOWAS bloc, will return if ECOWAS works as expected.
If ECOWAS begin to work as expected, they would themselves appreciate the fact that they need to return to the community because they will benefit from being part of the community. Right now, they are upset over a couple of things, but with time, with maturity, with the reality staring them in the face, I believe that they will come back. I'm not saying that ECOWAS should not try to get them back, but the truth of the matter is that they have reasons. I mean, they are sovereign states. They have reasons to be upset on how they were treated.
Well, joining us now for more on the celebrations of ECOWAS's 50th anniversary is African Affairs Analyst Judy Benson. Thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Well, 50 years ago, a historic signing ceremony took place here in Lagos at the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs, and it's the same venue where ECOWAS's founding treaty was signed in 1975. And, yesterday, Wednesday, we saw the reenactment of that signing. What significance does this milestone hold today?
Well, the significant holds a number of things. One is that I'm very excited that General Yakubu Gowon, who penned on behalf of Nigeria, is still alive and was part of that ceremony. The second thing is that the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs is still alive and standing and possibly waxing stronger, and that they chose the same location to reenact it. And then thirdly is that people like us, you and I must emphasize, who weren't born at that time and started to hear about ECOWAS only as a matter of current affairs and civic education or social studies from primary school to secondary school, have come to witness something that justifies the existence of ECOWAS. So it's been a great thing. The news has been all over the place for those who chose to pay attention to it. We've known ECOWAS more on account of, firstly on account of current affairs that we had to do, and then secondly for those who are interested in African affairs and global affairs. So the significance is huge, and I hope that ECOWAS will be able to go back to the objectives as set out by the founding fathers and have a rethink of its current status.
And speaking of the founding fathers, the founding members, I mean, with the Sahel states of Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso out of the bloc, they withdrew earlier this year. But it's clear, and it seems, the bloc still wants the founding members back into the fold. How do you think this can be achieved?
Well, a combination of factors. So I would recommend that a body of eminent persons be put together to bring them back into the fold, particularly since they are Francophone countries. Such a body should be led by somebody who is French or of a French national, one of the French colonies. The UN can be on the table, ECOWAS itself can be on the table, African Union can be on that table, because we're stronger together, we're better together. And then they should also be persuaded to transit from military-led countries to democratic ones, as we have seen in Gabon recently. So all three of Niger Republic, Burkina Faso, and Mali, depending on the quality of people at that table and the quality of conversations that happen, I don't think it will be too difficult to get them to transit from military leadership to elected leaders, because ECOWAS countries have had a fair share of military rule. When you talk about military incursion in politics, almost all the ECOWAS countries have featured: Liberia, Nigeria, Ghana, all of us. And so at a time like this, the leadership of ECOWAS, when they gather to meet at any event, they should all be in, whether it's barbaric gowns and suits rather than in military uniform. So those conversations need to be had. Somebody like Chief Emeka Anyaoku will be very valuable in such a conversation. I'm sure that there are a number of people from, whether it's Cote d'Ivoire or Mali or Senegal, that can also be on that table. And we can also go further out of ECOWAS to get people to be on that table. But it's important that those three countries be brought back into the fold, whatever it is going to take.
All right, then, Jide Benson, African Affairs Analyst, thank you for your time on Network Africa.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome back to the program. We'll continue in South Africa, where a mother has been convicted and sentenced to life in prison for kidnapping and trafficking her 6-year-old daughter, Jocelyn Smith. The jail terms for Raquel Kelly Smith and 2 of her accomplices comes more than a year after Jocelyn Smith mysteriously disappeared in February 2024 outside her home in Saldanha Bay near Cape Town. The sentencing follows an 8-week trial that captivated South Africa, with witnesses and prosecutors making a number of shocking allegations. Delivering the verdict, the judge, Nathan Erasmus, said he drew no distinction between the trio in handing down the sentences. For human trafficking charge, he sentenced to life imprisonment. Kidnapping charge, 10 years imprisonment. He also rebuked the trio, especially Miss Smith, the mother, and her boyfriend, saying they showed no remorse for their actions. In the meantime, police have named 3 men believed to be directly involved in the murder of a 30-year-old student, Olorato Mongale, who was last seen going on a date. Her body was found just 2 hours after being reported missing in Lombardy, north of Johannesburg. Authorities have now seized a VW Polo allegedly used in the crime. Police spokesperson Atlenda Mathe said the vehicle was discovered with traces of blood at a panel beater workshop in Durban. One man, believed to own the car, has already been arrested as investigations continue and pressure mounts for justice. Kenyan literature icon Ngugi wa Thiong'o has died at the age of 87. His daughter, Wanjiku, confirmed his passing in a social media post, announcing his passing on Wednesday morning, the 28th of May. He was one of Africa's most powerful voices, a storyteller whose work spanned 60 years, primarily documenting the transformation of his country from a colonial subject to a democracy. Mr. Ngugi will be remembered as a fierce proponent of literature written in native African languages and a storyteller who refused to be silenced, not by prison, exile, or illness. Well, back here in Lagos, the Lagos State University has emerged the overall winner of the 2025 Intertertiary Institutions Environmental Summit, walking away with the grand prize of 1 million naira and a trophy. The general manager of the Lagos State Environment Protection Agency, Dr. Babatunde Ajayi, who presented the prize to winners at the summit, says government says there is no going back on the full enforcement of the ban on single-use plastics. Dr. Ajayi says the state government will intensify its advocacy campaign ahead of the July enforcement of the ban on single-use plastics in order to protect Lagos State's environment.
It's the Lagos State 2025 Inter-Tertiary Institutions Environmental Summit at Adeyemi Bero Auditorium in Alausa, Lagos. The summit, organized by the Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency, brought together students from tertiary institutions across Lagos to educate students about environmental protection.
We think that an engagement with the youth is an engagement with the leaders of tomorrow, the people who will actually carry these issues forward to execution. We also understand that implementation of our policies and our different ideas will come from the community. The strength of the community is in the youth.
Some of the students get engaged in a debate on the pros and cons of banning single-use plastics.
When we transition from plastic, we're saving Lagos State from the harms and effects of plastic pollution. Moving forward, ladies and gentlemen, see, plastic has been approved across the board, and when we transition from the use of plastic, we're not just transitioning, we're experiencing economic growth, we're experiencing health impact, and we're also experiencing every other benefit that comes with transitioning. So the problem with plastic goes way beyond plastic and pollution. It limits our ability to truly unlock our potential to be a mega city.
Other students also delivered an essay on sustainable development in Lagos coastal regions, balancing the blue economic expansion with environmental protection.
At the cost of what? We are trying to make money, but how do we preserve where this money is coming from essentially?
It might interest you to know that Lagos State has actually been a very good player in the blue economy expansion, because Lagos State is home to the 2 largest seaports in Nigeria.
University management commend LASEPA for the educative initiative that will transform lives of the young ones.
This initiative is something that we didn't take for granted, not only because it is timely and also addressing the ongoing reality, with respect to challenges that is affecting us in Lagos, particularly with respect to the environment.
Protecting our environment, ensuring that cleanliness, of course, that the sense of godliness is attained. We must continue to engage in thought-provoking conversations like this.
The State Special Advisor on Sustainable Development Goals appealed to the people to practice proper hygiene.
A considerable percentage of our streets, markets, beaches, and waterways are still littered with single-use plastics. These materials take hundreds of years to degrade, choking our drainage, harming marine life, and endangering public health. Also, with the influx of vehicles, the use of machines, and increase in private and industrial activities, our air quality is always under constant threat. Lagos is blessed, no doubt, but is also burdened. And if we do not manage our environmental realities with wisdom, urgency, and collaboration, the very economy we celebrate today could face significant risk tomorrow.
The Lagos state government says there is no going back on the ban on single-use plastics and encourages residents as well as private sector to support the plan in achieving a safe, cleaner environment that is free of air pollution.
In Ghana, local engineers have designed tricycle ambulances, transforming last-mile maternal care in rural regions where pregnant women often face hour-long journeys using uncomfortable and unsafe transportation to access health facilities. Medical personnel say the ambulances are already making an impact at the Bugubel, one of the health centers in the country. According to reports, Moving Health came up with the design concept a decade ago at MIT D-Lab, which focuses on simple, practical solutions using locally available materials. The researchers based at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology work with student engineers to design practical solutions to global poverty challenges.
Television News.
We realize that in northern parts of Ghana, when it comes to referral cases to the next level of care, it was really a cumbersome issue, and we were invited here by another NGO to look into the problem and also to use the locally available materials and technology to help solve the situation. We use the community-centered approach to make sure that we take feedback from the communities to incorporate into the ambulance. This is to make sure that when we deploy these ambulances, they will work according to the topographies of the road, the needs of the people, and also to include maintenance. So with this kind of vehicles, if you want to maintain it, all the parts to maintain the ambulances or this kind of vehicles are readily available in their community, which they can do themselves. So the reception of these ambulances at the community level is what keeps us innovating. Sometimes when you interact with the families or the beneficiaries of these ambulances, the excitement they express because of how safe it is compared to the other means that they used to have. So for me, in our team, this is what gives us the motivation to keep expanding and to keep innovating to reach more communities with our interventions.
So there was this case that the woman came and after delivering, she was bleeding. We did all our management and it wasn't working. So we just called the ambulance driver. Then we sent the patient. And when we got there, when they did the HB, it was like she was 5. So if Moving Health wasn't there, I don't think the patient would have made it.
Well, thousands of football fans have witnessed an historic match with the participation of renowned football legends J.J. Okocha, Samuel Eto'o and Emmanuel Adebayor as part of a FIFA-backed peace tour to restore Somalia's image. Reports say due to security and other challenges in the country, its national team has to play most of its matches abroad. However, this game presents an opportunity for the country to reaffirm its capability to host international fixtures, marking the first high-profile match in the country in 30 years. Somalia's Prime Minister Abdi Hamza and several other senior officials were in attendance at the landmark event. The international team snatched victory from the locals, scoring 8-4.
I was playing in England. One Somalian boy was living in my house called Abdurrahman Bihi. He talked to me a lot about Somalia. Me being here today is wonderful. And we just pray for God to give you guys peace, to give you guys health, and so that you can build your country. Obviously, I have seen what you guys have done is beautiful. It's incredible. Good luck for Somalia, and may God be with you.
Well, the African Development Bank AFDB Group has elected Sidi Ould Tah of Mauritania as its new president, succeeding Nigeria's Akinwumi Adesina, a Nigerian economist who led the bank for 10 years following his election back in the year 2015. Well, according to a statement by the AFDB, Mr. Tah was elected by the bank's Board of Governors during its annual meetings in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, comprising finance and economy ministers or central bank governors of the bank's groups, 81 regional and non-regional member countries. Mr. Tah won 48.41% of votes to beat 3 other contenders from Senegal, Zambia, and South Africa. And on a programming note, Channels Television, your award-winning news station, invites you to a special edition of our May 29th broadcast, Channels Youth Forum, Empowering the Future. Tune in today from 5 p.m. to 9:45 p.m. as we spotlight youth engagement across Nigeria, exploring the aspirations of young Nigerians and their role in shaping a better, more inclusive future. This special broadcast will feature powerful voices from youths across all geopolitical zones and responses from key government officials to the issues raised. Be part of the national conversation. Watch live on Channels TV and stream on all our digital platforms, including YouTube and social media. Let's amplify youth voices and drive national development together. And that's where we end Network Africa for today. Thank you for watching. I'm Layo Olayinde.